The African nation and continent as a land is not poor. It's the people whose knowledge has not been developed on how to transform the things they have as natural gifts.
So the problem is, how do we transfer these natural resources to become products?
Right. The consumerism context is when they make someone believe that what he has, that is not enough for you, and that has to give it to you to take the cocoa and turn it into a chocolate and then sell it back to him.
You find situations where people have businesses, they have the principal, the capital, the interest, the profit, and people are in a hurry to spend money. They're in a hurry to prove that they have arrived, so to speak, that they may even end up spending their capital.
We're talking about ChatGPT, cryptocurrency, but we only wait for someone to pioneer something and then become the top dog, and then they want to now be the one talking about it without even owning the right of creating that in the first place.
Precious people, welcome to Rough Table Talk podcast. Our goal is to transform lives through meaningful conversations. Today's guest is Ugochukwu Ome-Ogu. He is a workplace attitude and peak performance expert, a premium business strategist and mentor whose mentoring and coaching experience and skills are developed in JP Morgan Chase Bank in the United States, where he was the lead facilitator in performance management review and organizational strategy. It is indeed an honor to have you, sir.
And
To be on this podcast to share your insight and expertise in wealth creation.
Yes.
So honored to have you once again.
Thank you, Rap. You're doing a great job, so why not?
Thank you so much. I have a fascination for the Igbo tribe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Igbo tribe is considered one of the wealthiest ethnic groups in Nigeria. And the success is attributed to a combination of cultural values, entrepreneurial drive, and the robust apprenticeship system has fostered the wealth creation. But from other tribes in Nigeria, I want to learn from the Igbo tribe what has really made them so different when it comes to wealth creation, and what can we learn from the Igbo tribe?
Okay, so the people talk about the Igbo tribe in the context of the apprenticeship as one of the major ways that we could be able to survive and succeed after the war. But what they don't realize is there's nothing special about the Igbo tribe except what they have gone through. What that means is, if you look at the Chinese people who are right now next to America in terms of GDP and being wealthy, right? They have a concept called the yin yang. The yin yang says for every good there is bad, for every bad there is good. So most of the times people don't realize that it is the Igbo person trying to survive through the war that made him know that he has to help his brother for him to stand. So the concept of apprenticeship, from my perspective, if I understand it, is them trying to survive a war that was meant to annihilate them. Then they need every one of them to work together to be able to succeed. And that's why the apprenticeship culture started. Before now, the Igbo man is all man to himself. Ibame, we don't really have respect for kings, so to say. So the apprenticeship was a collaborative effort to become successful as a people, and what I call participatory prosperity, where everyone helps everyone else so that everyone else can become more successful. And that has given us a leading advantage in terms of the survival instinct and, above all, transfer of knowledge from one person to another in an economic setting to help the average Igbo man to rise above the regular Joe out there. So that is what my perspective is about.
Wow. So hearing you is, we can trace it back to the aftermath of the Nigeria Civil War.
Yes.
I know it is said that hard times make great people.
Yes.
Great men create good times.
That's right.
And then good times end up creating weak.
That is correct. That is correct.
So the blessing to the Igbo tribe could be the hard times.
It's the natural law of life. For every left, there's a right. In every circumstance that is terrible, embedded in that circumstance is an opportunity to be greater. So we think But then there's another angle to it. Everybody praises the Igbo person, which is fine. I mean, we have done a great job in terms of surviving such a terrible war in Nigerian history. But however, when you have an apprentice who comes to learn from you, he becomes a competition after that. So you're not raising the person that will take over your business in a way that is competitive, not progressive. Okay. So what I say is apprenticeship is learning the craft of a business. But what the Igbo man has not done yet to do is mentorship, which is a transfer of philosophy. So someone can learn your craft, but it can be bigger than you because they transfer your philosophy. And when the person learns your craft and only your craft, it means the only place in the business world the person can succeed in that is that craft which he has learned. But if I'm conscious of making you to be greater, right? And you are a part of my business, and I'm bringing you close to me to transfer my philosophy, my belief system to you, which means you can leave me in that business and start a different business for what I'm starting as they succeed like me because you have gotten my philosophy, which is an overriding force for any business you want to do. So the philosophy that is not transferred can hinder a person who has learned my craft and not succeed in any other business except that particular one he has learned.
Well, can somebody, by observation, be able to get somebody's philosophy? By observation?
Yes and no. You have to explain philosophy. There are 5 types of knowledge. That's what is called know what. Know what is explaining what you're doing. I'm explaining to you this step where you're fixing right now, and I can measure the table, do the calculations, go to the woods, collect a particular type of wood, and treat it differently in your absence. And then what you see is a finished wood, and I can ask you to couple it. I've already cut the wood, treated the wood, measured the wood, you just couple. So even by observation, you're watching me. What if you don't know what chemical I'm mixing? What if you don't know where I source the chemical? So you can still have the technical know-how without understanding the philosophy about the know-how. Okay, so that's know what, explaining to you the principle of what I'm doing. But that's what's called know why, which is the philosophy behind what I'm doing. In the Igbo culture, they will have a lot of people who have served their masters by observation. What they're seeing is know-how. They are watching the application of a process. But I have to sit down with you to explain to you why I'm using a particular wood, and explain to you why I'm sourcing it from a particular place, and explain to you why all the money I have made in my business, I am not spending all of it. So if I don't transfer this belief system, it's difficult for you to sustain the wealth that comes from the scratch. True, that's the difference. So you can observe technical know-how, but you have to listen to the philosophy.
Wow. So, looking at Africa, for example, what I say is the Africa paradox. Africa is rich in resources, but poor in wealth. Africa has 40% of the world's gold, 90% of its platinum, and 30% of its minerals, yet it remains underdeveloped. We are rich in resources, but we are poor in wealth. Why is it that, irrespective of how we have traveled, how we have been exposed to other great nations, we still remain underdeveloped?
So Africa is not poor. Africa, you've said, has 90% of all the resources, mineral resources, it has 40%. It's Africa as a land is not poor. What is poor is the people of the African continent who have refused to develop their capacity to turn those mineral resources into value-added products. So wealth is not in a place, wealth is in people. Because you can live in Africa with all these resources and still remain poor. So wealth has to do with human capacity to develop other people in different contexts, in develop people in health, make sure people have knowledge about how to eat well, how to harness the natural resources that we have to live a better life, a better environment. And wealth is about developing the knowledge of how things work. Wealth is about human virtues become human services. Virtue means you're kind, you're faithful, you love people, but you don't, the professional scale. So I can be kind to you if I can't treat you if you have a wound, if I have no knowledge of how to treat your illness, it is difficult to express kindness without professional services. I remember a story, one of the days that I lived in Lagos, and then this young man is a pastor, and then we're home that particular morning, and a neighbor of ours, who's a banker, ran out of her house, and she was pregnant, and she was losing consciousness, she was fainting, right? And then she ran to us, and this pastor said, pray. That time, she needed some medical attention. At that particular time, she was losing air and breath. She was probably anemic or something that was wrong with her biology. Nothing was wrong with her spirit. So at that particular time, the pastor, who was a good intention, was trying to pray over her. That woman was dying. Now, I was able to take her to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, I paid the bill. I had the money. And when I paid the bill, I didn't just pay the bill. I paid for emergency attention. So at that time, I was expressing kindness because I had the resources to let my virtue work for her through a professional needs. The pastor is not a bad person. He has kindness. But that particular prayer at that time may not be the necessity for her to revive her, maybe the level of her blood level or get her oxygen. She probably could have still died. But, this argument is difficult to make in Africa. We were so religious to say, okay, when I say our prayer, I know, but the thing is, there's a place of prayer.
Yeah.
But my point is, wealth is about taking our virtues that God has given to us, our inner talent and giftings of God, and convert those giftings into services and products to serve humanity. That's what wealth is about. But there are other wealth, natural wealth on the ground, the oil, the bitumen, the bauxite, the coal. All this is in their natural state. But you can't drink crude oil. You have to use wisdom to process it into AGO or PMS for it to become a motor spirit to serve people. So the African nation and continent as a land is not all. It's the people whose knowledge has not been developed on how to transform the things they have as natural gifts to what can serve humanity. That's the problem.
So the problem is, how do we transfer these natural resources to become products that has value?
Correct.
And then that is how nations make money. That is how nations become great.
Right.
But why is it that the spirit of consumerism, is so high in Africa, with many prioritizers spending over invested? Most of these multinationals, Africa is their darling, you see, because we love to buy. We love to buy designer bags. We just love to consume.
So the consumerism is not an Africa thing. It's an education thing. Now, whoever controls your education controls how you see it. So the West has come here and then to introduce an education that makes us see them superior and make us see ourselves as inferior. So we don't even believe in ourselves. We don't even believe in our own thought. I don't think Africa is underdeveloped. I think Africa is overexploited. They came in here with an education, replaced our sense of identity as bona fide citizens of this planet, and made us believe by the education. That's what they did. They changed what we think about ourselves and replaced our old tradition with their old type of way of thinking. Okay, so the context is the consumerism context is when you made someone believe that what he has, that is not enough for you, and that has to give it to you to take a cocoa and turn it into a chocolate and then sell it back to him. That when he gets cocoa, he's not thinking about adding value to the cocoa. He wants to give it to you and then for peanuts, and then you go and make it better, and he takes the sugar and the cocoa put together, and then that depends on the finished product. But then the cocoa in and of itself is healthier than the chocolate itself. So whoever made you believe that you have no capacity to develop yourself, be able to take what you have and make it a better product, has introduced a sense of psychology that makes you dependent. So consumerism is spending money for what you can consume, that the corresponding power to produce value for what you're consumed.
Could it be an identity issue? Because somehow, you find situations where people have businesses, they have the principal, the capital, the interest, the profits, and people are in a hurry to spend money. They're in a hurry to prove that they have arrived, so to speak, that they may even end up spending their capital. Because we can see most times we see situations where businesses just rise up and before you know what's happening, it has come down. Most times in Africa, you can hardly see a business that transcends the owner. Once he's gone, the business is gone. And well, even Nigeria have big names. Where are they today? And you will find any of their competitors. So could it be an identity issue?
Absolutely, I agree. It's an identity issue. From my observation, Africans have never fought for supremacy. They've only fought against oppression. You have not taken a frontier, like pioneer a particular venture or start a new frontier to start something new. Now, everybody's talking about AI, but we are not pioneering AI. They were talking about ChatGPT, cryptocurrency, but we only wait for someone to pioneer something and then become the top dog, and then they want to now be the one talking about it without even owning the right or creating that in the first place. So the context of let me get a question again. What was the question was?
So I was like, is it identity?
Yeah. So we have not come to the place where we're the first principle, we're the first actor in the sequence of actions, where we take initiative to introduce a concept or start a new industry or invent something new. We've not. So we always think that we have to get a second opinion about who we think we are. What's happening in the country, in the open world right now, where Trump is threatening countries in the world, not in Africa, that he's going to take away AIDS. I remember when tsunami happened in Singapore, or I've forgotten what that particular country, a tsunami that happened sometime. Some Westerners went to that country, it's not their country, and developed software and technology to go and find out what was the cause of the tsunami that happened not in their country, in somebody else's country. So what stood up for me during that interview? They said, we are the goddess of the earth. There's something happened on earth. We need to find out. I'm like, excuse me? You left your country. You think yourself that you are the god of the earth, like to go somewhere else, take your technology to go and find out what happened so they can save humanity. That thought is a thought of a god. That doesn't mean we are less of a god. No. So in other words, what you think you are is not as important as what you believe you are. If you have made it the image and likeness of God, up to today, on the dollar bill you have, in God we trust. Which means somewhere these people, the founding fathers of America, believe that the God is the same, is the idea of God is the foundation for which America is built. Even if you look at their Declaration of Independence, right? So, but we don't believe that we are gods. We pray to God. We go for deliverance services to talk to God. We pray to God. We are looking forward to someone to tell us about God. We don't believe that we are that which we call God. We don't believe that we are made in the image and the likeness of the other. We don't believe it enough to act from that standpoint, to know that whatever that you are trying to do, that God wants you to do, He has put His capacity inside of you and has given you the right to act in His own state. That which you're trying to pray to is living inside of you. And that wants to find expression in handling the affairs that happen on earth. So identity issue is definitely what's going on here. I was in South Africa a couple of months ago, this year and last year. I went to the museum of the Apartheid Museum. I saw where this white man, the Westerners, for lack of a better word, actually came to South Africa and began to design the construct of different classes of human beings. They call the white man the master of all that will be in Africa forever. They call the black man the lowest of the species of the people. So there's the white man, that is the colored, that is the native, and the aboriginals. So they classified human beings and then introduce a construct of how you see yourself and how they relate to you. So, and then put themselves at the highest level of the class. of what they represent as masters of South Africa, even though they're not the native of the land. So the native of the South Africans were the lowest in the classifications of the owners of the land. So the concept is that your identity determines your response to life.
Yeah, that's true.
Who you believe you are determines how you respond to life. I'll give you an example of how this identity is another issue. If you are born by a rich man, let's say, for example, one of our audience, Dr. Cosmo Macau, whom we know is a very successful rich man by all standards. And then a child is born by him, okay? And there's another man who is poor. For example, let's say Mr. A is poor, and Cosmos Macau is very rich. And another person is very poor. And the daughter or the son of that poor man is taken at the birth and given to Dr. Cosmos Macau. And Dr. Cosmos Macau's daughter is taken at the birth and given to the poor man. And now, these two men will raise these two children. I'm asking you a question, Ralph. If that boy or that girl raised by Dr. Cosmos Macau, he speaks to his mind, speaks to his ideology, raises him up as his father, and talks to the inner part of that particular young man or young woman, and then this guy grows up, seeing himself as a daughter or son of the rich man, and believes that he is the son of the rich man, and then thinks like the father. And the other person whose blood is that of Dr. Cosmos Macau, and he's raised by a poor man, and this poor man talks to this child, telling that Nigeria is difficult, Africa is poor, you have to jackpot, things are not working, deliverance at night, deliverance in the evening, witches are coming, and this child grows up under this poor man tutelated mentorship and parenthood until he's 18 years old. Now I'm going to ask you a question. Which one of them do you think will be more successful in life?
The one with the blood of the rich man. Fortunately, we end up there.
Why?
Because of the education.
Because of the education, because of the identity, because of the belief system. So, life does not give you what you desire, life gives you what you learn. And your identity is as a function of your education. When I mean education, I'm not talking about academic education, I'm not talking about professional education, I'm talking about wealth education. A sense of worth that you know in yourself, that everything of the universe is subject to your control. So your identity plays a powerful role.
So financial illiteracy is a major challenge in life.
Yeah, financial illiteracy, yes it is, but more importantly, wealth education encompasses all of those things. In the scope, people would misunderstand the scope and the size of wealth education. See, if you're in business and you're thinking about making money, that's a social plan. And I think they're not rating well. Wow. So wealth education comprises 5 levels. One of the components of wealth education is business. But just one component of wealth creation is business. So in our thinking, we feel that business is a step one, which is the place where you say, how can I serve people with my value? What services can I create? What goods can I create that people can give me value in return? So when I produce something, a service or product, and I sell to the world, and that's business. If I build a system around it, so that be a deliberate system where people can keep buying my goods and services all the time, that's business. But what you do with the money when it comes in? You spend it or do you invest it? So the second level of wealth creation is preservation of the money you made. Now, and the reason why you've seen a lot of people, they talked about it here, who have had big companies, and when they die, the company goes away. It's because they only stayed on one level of wealth creation, which is business. There's no wealth preservation. So that's the second scale. The second stage is wealth preservation. How do I preserve the money that I've made? And listen, money is the means of exchange of value. Money is any means of exchange of value. In other words, for money to be exchanged, value must be involved. In other words, it is for the purpose of value that money was invented. So if you're looking for money without the corresponding habit to give value, you are a coma. So money is any means of exchange of value. So in other words, until value is exchanged, wealth cannot be set up, be created. So if I take money from you, I didn't give you corresponding value, I've stolen from you.
Wow. I get up now.
So people are looking for money, they're not looking for value.
So any money gotten without the extent of value,
your value is the criminal. Yes, that's dark. And that's what Africans do. If for the people, what? Yahoo mentality.
The reason why you should have money is because you have power.
Yes. So money is the database to measure how much values have been exchanged. So when you have plenty money, it means there's plenty services and goods and services and value has left you. So it's cash that the notion got by. Cash in and of itself has no inherent value. The value of cash is the value for which it's exchanged for. So money has stood to value system. The value for which the money has been exchanged and the value that the money creates. So when I produce a product, that's my value. The current service, you produce this phone, I like it, I want to buy it. So this phone represents my thought, my idea, my energy, and my time, and I give you the phone, and you give me cash in return. You have translated my value into a depreciable item. Once it is cash, depreciation can happen to it. Depreciation can happen to it. It can be stolen. So once your value has been put in cash, it has now become in a state where it can be stolen, depreciate. So what you want to do right away is to convert that cash into an asset immediately. Either put it back to produce more goods or put in the assets, income producing asset without keeping the cash.
Wow. And that's the second level.
To preserve the value that you've gotten in terms of the cash. Now, there in the context of creating wealth, there are different asset classes that you can invest to the purpose of preservation. Because the second level, the third level of wealth creation is wealth multiplication, not wealth preservation. So you're preserving, so like if money that has been previous is preserved for each shouldn't fear. Yeah, so multiplication is now when you're taking money, a portion of your income, a portion of your money for the purpose of multiplying the value beyond the inflation, beyond what you can do. And people don't understand that in wealth creation, business is the beginning. Investment in the middle. Transfer is the end. So when you make money, right, you preserve it, you put it in an asset, producing income for the purpose of conservation of that value. Then you take part of that money, find an asset classes that can multiply that money faster. But the higher the rate of multiplying the money is also the higher the risk of that money disappearing. So, but it must be guided.
The higher the rate of multiplication, the higher the risk of disappearing.
Yes, that's true. When people come to me and say, Mr. Ogo, I need you to give me an investment option to invest, and I said, wrong question. Tell Mr. Ogo, teach me how investment works. Because the protection of the asset is not in the asset itself, it's the knowledge of how to protect the asset. Knowledge is the only asset that creates other assets. I have seen people who have made millions of dollars and lost their money because they have no knowledge of how the times and seasons that happen there. So going back to what you said, why Africa is poor. Africa is not poor, it's the people. And poverty is not lack of money. Poverty is lack of knowledge in the proper context of three things, because poverty is multidimensional. It can be poor in health, which means you lack knowledge of how to maintain your health. It can be poor in finance, which means you lack knowledge on how money works. It can be poor in your relationship, which means you lack knowledge on how to build meaningful relationship. So it's multidimensional. There's some people that have a lot of money, they have no good relationship.
They're poor in that area.
Yes, they're poor. Thank you. So if you will only attribute poverty to money, in fact, it's the least of important things. I've seen people who have spent their time looking for this money and lose their health.
Right.
Yes, right. So poverty is not lack of money. It's lack of knowledge in the proper context of how to maintain your health. It's lack of knowledge in the proper context on how to build wealth. It's lack of knowledge in the proper context of how to build a social connection with people in the right context. Sometimes I see people come to my sessions, like mentoring programs, consulting trainings, and all of that. And when there's a time for a fee to pay for something, they say they don't have money. I say, yeah, sometimes I don't have. But not to have who to get from is even more poverty stricken. Yes, it's a double strategy. Sometimes I don't have. Well, what about the people in your life? Is there anybody you can call? So if you don't have, that's okay. If your friends don't have, that's that. If your family don't have, that's really, really bad. If your community don't have, then why don't you declare yourself an orphan? Because you have no one. So why do you have all these people in your life and none of them come there for you? And I think it's because we misunderstood social network from social capital. Social network are a number of people you have, you know, and they know you. social capital, the number of your academic value. So that's a social network. You have friends, everybody's calling you, hey, what's up, what's going on? People are talking to you, go to Reddit, and oh, I'm bad, go to party, go all of these churches, everybody's everywhere, go to mosque. But anytime you have a problem, can barely find anybody to. And I see some people sometimes, they have need for money, and they call their friends. And once they say, hey, John, please, I need you to send me 10,000, please, can you help me? You're hearing, oh, network. That's not wrong with network. It's just in their head, you don't represent value. I have seen people make phone calls. They say, well, can you help me 100,000? They say they can't give you, but if you need to borrow, they can give you. Which means in terms of physical, in terms of personal value, they don't help. But they probably trust your credibility enough. Like if they give you the money, you can pay. But you're not adding value to people's life for them to give you money without asking you to pay that. So you can see it's more diversion.
Yes, because we hear more about social networking. So we have classes, hyper network. But for me, this is new. Social capital is new. The people that you're investing in, value that you're adding in.
That's what determines your network. Not social network. People say things like, your network determines your network.
Yes.
This is a lie. It's a fallacy. It's a lie that looks like truth. It's fallacy. A lie that looks like truth is fallacy. Okay? See, your network determines your network. And your network amplifies your network. So network is a sense of who you become, the word owner. You attract your kind. So if you're a farmer, who do you attract? The people. So which means your network is poor people. But when they say your network becomes your network, they're talking about it in terms of wealth, not of poverty. But they even talk about have networks.
Yeah, they do.
So if you want to attract rich people, become one person. Because lack attracts like. So why don't you work towards becoming someone of what? So that by extension of who you become, people in that caliber would naturally crack situation. And they say, if I'm $1 billion, right, and I have 10 more $1 billion, my network is like,
I really want to talk about more about this social capital.
Yeah.
I think it's a very important topic. So we can begin to learn how to.
Let me give an example. I was like, I had a guy that has TV show, has a book. I'm not going to change his name because it's not a good story, right? So he came, seems to how he was so happy. He told me, every time I see people are talking about how valuable your sessions are, I see good cars. I have to the set is all brand new, E5s, C-Class, Range Rover, I mean, like a Land Cruiser. They have all these wonderful things. But I'm on TV. I'm on XTV. I have my books, Financial Freedom. I have the book, no? But nobody buys my book. And everybody called and send me their problems. I go to Benin to do event, nobody's coming. So you have social networks. How many of these people have become better by you? That by placing a phone call, they'll be grateful.
Yeah.
To patronize what you. So you have to have a clear understanding of these two phenomena. That having a lot of people around you doesn't mean they're useful for your life. And doesn't even mean that they're useful to them. So I believe more in social capital.
And social.
Yeah.
So we'll take a break right now and we'll come back. Okay. Have you heard of land banking? An organization wanted to acquire a property early this year, and the property was going for billions of naira. While they did their due diligence, they discovered that that property was acquired some years back for 250,000. Now it's worth billions. There's a reason why real estate is called real estate. It is the real business. Our proud sponsors today is the Property Garage, and they are engaged in various real estate business models. They have properties and lands in Jabi, Kusape, Asokoro, Kantape Extension, and many more, Airport Road. If you want to secure your future and invest in properties and lands, we have a good opportunity for you. It's discounted. If you take advantage of this opportunity, you have an opportunity to engage in 20% discount. If you are interested, contact the details below and use the coupon code RTT, RAF Table Talk. Invest in your future. Thank you. All right, welcome back from the short break. Now we're talking about social capital, right? If someone starts a business with a poverty mindset, and of course, if you're in a family of 10 and only one person is rich, somebody says if you're in a family of 10 and you're the only one that is rich, you're poor. Talking about network, because all the people around you are poor, so they are just depending on you. And if you start a business with a poverty mindset, you can, because I've seen people who start business with all the money that they have, but eventually it just goes down. So why do many African businesses still remain, small scale and struggle to scale globally? Because you can see KFC in Abuja, you can see foreign businesses, but you hardly can see African businesses that have scaled global. Could we extrapolate it back to the mindset?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, there's a difference between mindset and mentality. So let's correct that first. Mentality is the sum total of your belief, your biases, your faith, your philosophy that is built over time, the next 15, 20 years. Your cultural beliefs, your political biases, your religious beliefs has affected the sum total of what you think is possible. So mentality is built per time. But mindset is your mental disposition per time to make a decision. If I walk into you right now and I curse you up, you're such a stupid man, I'm going to deal with you. How bad are you? I mean, how you're so stupid, you're not a nice guy. I've affected your mindset. And I said, okay, please, can you help me? See, mindset is your mental disposition per time. Mentality, no matter how much I curse you, I'll still change the mentality. It's built over the end of years of our life. So, mentality is like a climate. Mindset is like a weather. The same, correct. I get it. So, sometimes I have a scarcity mindset. Doesn't matter the poverty mentality. If I'm broke right now, I get. So if I'm broke right now, it will affect my confidence. If I want to stop a taxi, because I know I am broke, I'm not poor. I have money in the bank. I don't have money at the time. I'll be more careful to call a taxi. At that time, I have a scarcity mindset because I'm thinking of the money I don't have. But I'm a rich man. I'm not a man. Or when you have a poverty mentality, with 1 million in your account, you still cannot do anything because you're not the one that didn't the value that made you have the money. So mentality has to do with the sum total of your belief system over time that determine the decisions you make in your life over time. So the African person, like I said, had not fought for supremacy before. We have not been adventurous. We have not crossed the other side of the ocean to go and find out what is there. I want to do a land and say, yeah, we're Africans. We are here to show you that we're going to make your life better. We have always been the one fighting against oppressions. So fundamentally, we don't have, because of the way education came from the white man, they caught us off guard before we start in adventuring. So they instilled their educational system into our culture that made us believe they're superior to us. Now, when you say something is global, the man in Texas, he's a local man.
Yeah,
he starts a business called Apple. He's a local man in California. He's a local business, it's an international business.
Yeah,
but he's producing it for the rest of the world. But yet the local business. So the business here have this local business, but I'm producing for the rest of the world. So there's no international business. There's only local businesses that is meant to take care of human proper.
But they master the art to scale it globally.
Yeah, so first of all, the mentality says the universe is your playground. I'll give you an example. Luckily for me, I have to re-engineer my mind, knowing that what is called metacognition, the ability to be aware of your thoughts while you're still thinking about your book. I know that the sum total of my life is dependent on the quality of education, experiences, philosophy that built my life. Everything I'm going to do proceeds from that. So I have to go back again. I began to read the books I read in primary school. as an adult. Those sociology, integrated science, physics. We read those books and we don't know what these things are for. So people that wrote those books are not kids, they're adults. So I encourage everybody to go back to that primary school book, secondary school book. If you read it now, you understand the word better. You understand how everything is connected to everything. So now I am in Nigeria. I don't have to go to America to live, to create wealth. Because wealth is not an American concept. Wealth is not an European concept. Wealth is God's concept. On the dollar bill, they said in God we trust. So even if I move to America with the bad mentality, I'm still going to be a pawn in the system. I'm going to be a spoke in the wheel. Somebody who owns the hospitals, the big organizations, is going to employ me in Doko, in Hapo, to be one of the people there. But they own the system that I'm working in. So I was in the UK the other time. Guess what happened? There is the commoners, the what do they call that? The commoners, yes. They have they had the class system in the UK. The lords, yes, the lords and the commoners. Now, that's some commons. Now, the lords, if you go and read how this is came to be, the lords are not the most educated, but they believe they own the land. The lord that own the lands in England, those things, they own the land. Their children are born as lords. They wake up in the morning, they say their father owns the XYZ acres of land. It belongs to you. So a sense of identity as owner has been built. The commoners will go to university to hope to work for the lords. So the reason why the commoner is going to school is because he wants to develop the skill to be employed by someone who didn't go to school, who believes. So the concept of globalization is knowing that any part of the earth you are living in is part of the goal. And your target should be to serve humanity in its best level of solution. If that's what you're thinking, you find out that your forte known is thinking globally without having to look at this location. Now, scalability is a different conversation where you have to put systems in place and have an operational method that is some of the delivery that the goods you produce here is put all around the world. That's another type of conversation in terms of, how the national government comes in. There's nothing you could do about that as a person by instruct. But with the new world right now, with internet, you can put your stuff online. I give it to Alibaba. I'll give it to eBay. Can you to Amazon right now? Produce something, list it over there, and anywhere, anybody in the world can order that and take it around the world. But it's a different conversation about how do you build a system that scales the value that you have.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So what actionable steps must African leaders, entrepreneurs, citizens take to create lasting wealth? So maybe just to educate us, what actionable steps do you think we can take as Africa to create lasting wealth?
I think the answers are there, but let me just say this, right? I'm an African. Okay. I grew up in Aba, which is Lagos College away. My nickname in secondary school was the $1 Million Man. Well, I was driving my first car in the university year one. I was organizing shows in school, in Spectacular, and I had shows where people come pay money to listen to me and watch me rap and sing. So fundamentally, is to make the African man believes that he is a God and he's meant to make the earth better than he met it. Is to know that he's the one you're here is because you're needed as a solution. That this cultural context should be embedded in the subconscious of the African child, knowing the reason why you're here is not to come and look for money, but to create value for which money will be given to you inevitably, whether or not you want the money. That a man's worth is not in what he possesses, but in what is inside of him, the knowledge that he has, upon which he can create value for another person, for which money can be exchanged in returns. We need to bring that consciousness to our every home. And I say that because the Jewish people teach wealth in the family setting. You don't learn work in school. You learn work in the relationship. I have seen people who went to Harvard and were still broke. If you check some of the richest people in the world today, they didn't go to the best schools, but they come from families that challenge their belief system to make them thrive. The word economy You know what it means? It means oikos nomos. The Hebrew word, the Greek word is oikos nomos. The English derivative in terms of, the English word is economy, eco, family. Nomos means norms. So economics means family principles about how to manage the sources. Wow. So the primary place to teach the Arabic child is on the dinner table, breakfast table. And 90% of who we are is because of who we observe growing up. Because we're first visual beings, before becoming intently. A child will do more what their parents did because that's what he sees, than what the parents say. So visualization is superior to intelligence. So if you grow up in a family or a culture where everybody's thinking large, thinking small, there's nobody that does on explorations. I watched an ad on CNN one day while I was in the US. This man stood up. I was sitting by the porch of his house with his son. And a Boeing 747 passed by, flew by, like 20,000 feet. Looked at the son and said, "My son, I built a fuselage of that plane." Imagine what that conversation goes. When I go to the village in Africa, I can barely see any explorer. Don't hear good stories either. Everybody's subsisted farming. When I live in the US, if you go to some country homes, you see someone's workshop where he's trying to modify a car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So some people's home you see horse stable, like wealth in capacity that is dimensional. But you go home, you only see horses to the simple. So it has to do with the spirit of man to explore the diverse nature of the earth. Just like what Elon Musk is saying out to Mars. Imagine what his children are led without going to school. That my dad built something that went to the Mars. Now, I saw the video where he was with his son at White House. With Trump.
Yeah.
And he was carrying him on the shoulder. What type of education? That's the highest level of education, where your dad is carrying you on his shoulder. And in the history of America, you don't see people carry their son. Everybody's dresses prom and proper and everybody dresses well. You see, they didn't walk out of the White House on suit, but he get with his jacket and with his son, play and talking to the president. And then the son says that power is normal. Exposure. That thing is crazy. So sometimes, how do you do what you do? I said, I try. What doesn't try? See, invention comes when you have got to the pinnacle of any particular knowledge. Invention can only happen when you have gotten to the pinnacle of a particular knowledge. That the next thing is to be, let's try something else. That's what invention comes. And the type of education that will make Africans to become conscious of their rights to contribute to the world is world education. Not professional education.
World education.
World education.
And when you look at the school curriculum, I don't even think
Exchange is a mess. It was not even designed by us, by our people to create wealth. And like you see, any wealthy person is always trying to create a different type of educational system. I think it's kept by my. I was going to see, sir.
But I think they're trying to introduce entrepreneurial curriculums these days.
No, not to schools. No, it's not. It's not something that's part of that. It's a way of like.
That cannot do justice.
Yeah. Like which school did you have to go to learn AI? Okay, the first person that wrote AI, which school did he go to? The first person that developed the ChatGPT, which school did it? It was experimenting. Cryptocurrency, which school did you have to go for the first one with that? So when what you know by the masses with an average person. Then when the information that you have is already out there, like every year have 100,000 graduates come out of school. Yeah, that's
it's a damn education.
Yes, that's 100,000 faceless human beings. They're being thrown out of the factory of the universities, quote unquote. Another 700,000 blind idiots please forgive my word, when I say idiots, people who don't want to reason outside the box, who are just secondary class, and it's a bunch of people who have not interacted with the world is telling you the handout we are reading is what we have been reading for the last 15, 20 years. Not whatever inoculated us and made us not to question such nonsense deaf type of knowledge and still go through it. If people don't go to the university, they feel that they're less than us.
So yeah, that's
even though I came out of school, feel like they wasted the time.
yeah, that's somehow we attach our value to the schools that we are gone to.
So whoever initiated that is a very smart person. That's what numbs our creativity, and you now start looking for a job.
So it's like most times we start like being very creative, less. But once we go through the school system, it numbs us. It takes away the creativity.
Yes.
So that means people may actually be more wealthy if they have not even been through.
Programmed up, schools, yes, the school system that I can tell anybody can argue with, because 90% of what I do to create wealth and make money around the world hasn't been implemented. But it has its own place.
Yeah, that's
what it does. Maybe societal.
and even like social networking too.
Yeah. You graduate. Graduate. It's crazy, yeah. So wealth is a lifestyle. Wealth is a way that wealth is embedded in human beings. It's a natural endowment of God's nature in man, for which education draws it out. So, and I think we also misusing education as against schooling. Schooling is general, education is personal, and schooling is curriculum based. The passage that education is focusing on the inner abilities of man to throw it out for specific use. And that's why you can't educate people in mass. Education is personal. The word education means a do-sering, to draw power from a deed. The synonym for education is taught, T-O-W, taught, to draw out. So whatever type of learning that is focused on your talent, your innate abilities to teach and create is education. It draws it out. Yes, whatever type of teaching that makes you want to follow what others have done is academics. And the best of academics is literacy and numeracy, not creation. How to read words, compute numbers, not how to think.
Wow, I've learned a lot today. I mean, what even really got my attention is when you spoke about the different levels of poverty. Some people are so poor, all they have is money.
Yes.
Their relationship is poor, their health is poor. All they have is money. They don't have relatives, they don't have friends, they don't have good health. Their marriages, but they have money.
Yes. That's dimension of poverty, not levels. Dimension in terms of dimension means health is a dimension, wealth is a dimension, social well-being is a dimension. But levels of poverty, there are 3 levels of poverty. The first level of poverty is spiritual poverty. Whenever you lack vision for your life, you're spiritually poor. The measure of spirituality is a sense of people that drives. So if you have no sense of purpose, you're a poor person spiritual. When you see the richest woman in the world, they don't have the best street. But their sense of purpose is so powerful, they can stop what doesn't exist and create a market around it. Like Apple. When Apple phone came out, Motorola phone was on the highest level of technology. BlackBerry BlackBerry Porsche was still still at the top. It was a high-end boom all of a sudden. Somebody starts what does not exist and they captive its ultimate death. In the sense of purpose.
So I felt the spirit in the next one as well.
This one is lack of goals. Intellect. If you cannot think a thought and hold a thought for a long time to produce an particular type of idea, the purpose ignited. So lack of ability to fashion out a sense of direction in terms of goals, the daily goals, wake up in the morning, there is no specific activity that is tied to a vision, a purpose. Which means it could go to anywhere, any fool can direct from it.
Yeah.
You can't even hold conversation. And if you're not able to have goals, how can you evolve in relationship? Because if I have a goal, 2025, it means by 2026, my goal has to evolve. Yeah. So if I have no goal at all,
Nothing is evolved.
nothing is involved. So see, that's poverty. And that's some people, you wonder how they behave in certain ways because there's no sense of evolution that is directed towards improvement. in their life. That's poverty, but you don't consider that. They may have money or kidnapping, stealing, politics. But what is your purpose? They don't know. What is your goal? What is your day, monthly goal? They don't. And the list of poverty is lack of cleanliness, physical hygiene, and hygiene. Let me tell you one about hygiene. The same cleanliness or less godliness. See, one of the sense of poverty is when a man can afford to be with the environment. There's another level. God did not create slow. It is the tradition of the human mind that dictates the environment. Like a man can police an environment is day because somebody's house can't even take up in their hands. Because some good bedroom, not necessarily walk into their bathroom. What makes a man to live in an environment and is endemic to his own personal area? That's utilized. You travel abroad, everybody needs quality of air. So the Japan thing is people feel like, God damn it. If you feel the freshness. When you come back from the US, when they talk about the comeback, it's like they're coming fresh from heaven, like over. No, I mean, I'm telling you, let me say the first thing they reject. When they travel abroad, the first place they reject is where they came from. They don't want to stay in their house again. They want to stay in a hotel. They want to stay in a different environment. It is showing you the level of poverty to the point that your environment reflects how they be minded. And so, see, for you, if you're okay to leave the dirty environment, it shows me the level of date in your mind as well. So levels of poverty is spirituality, which is sense of purpose or direction or vision. So one is lack of goals or which relationship can be built. Because if you have goals, that's a nice and that's because right now. The third one is a lack of sense of hygiene on a physical level. It's a sense of you're not just looking clean, you're looking healthy. A place can look clean, but it's not hygiene. Yes, you can use dirty water to clean the floor. It is full of viruses and bacteria. I'm delivered from these 3 levels of poverty, yes. But the poverty and wealth are like darkness and light. They can meet. It's very difficult for a rich man to understand how painful the lack of poor man is, because the reality of the wealthy man is the abundance of his thoughts. When you are saying like doesn't know what it. So you can't even explain. He's trying to understand. You say somebody is suffering. His reality is abundance. So they can't know why you are not till you are. So the state of mind is abundance. Now watch this. A wealthy man would likely help someone who is competent than somebody who is not. And that's true. Because he can relate to competence that will multiply what you put in the message. So when someone comes to you in circumstances, you attract sympathy. And sympathy gives bitterness. When someone comes to you with a goal, a sense of direction, want to invest time and energy in that. That's very true. So one of the ways you get to help people fast is give them the use of what money is, which is cash, so they can get out of their space. When someone comes to an idea, the best reasons, which is having cash.
And unfortunately, most Nigerians are on survival mode.
Yes.
The spiritual purpose is because people, you can see that somebody read agriculture and then is working in a bank. So you can see that there's a disconnect, yes, with their purpose. Yes. It's just about what can I get.
This correct.
So they're not operating more on the survival mode. That is where now what can I just get at the end of month to just survive? And that is why most times they can never make that transition into wealth. Yes. Because from what you're saying now, the spirit has to start, and the spirit is about purpose. It has to be purpose driven.
Yes.
And if you're purpose driven, you have goals, that's where it attracts wealth.
Yes. It is. Attracts relationships. Yes. Because, work, people who got the jobs for the wrong reason. You don't work to make money. You work to create value. Start business to make money. People start working to purpose of money. That's the problem.
Yeah.
The essence of work is to improve the worker. The purpose of work is to produce value. The purpose of business is to make money with the value that the worker has produced.
But we've gotten it all wrong.
You get it right. So I'm looking for a job. That's a zombie. Jobs have JD. Job have job description because someone has thought what you're supposed to do before you gave you the job. So your brain is useless. So I've been saying when they come, your JD is in the morning, cut by 8, do 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's why they can't wait to go on by 5.
Yeah.
Because does your mind shut down by 5? The owner of the business doesn't shut down by 5. Those that are talking about retirement, the owner of the business doesn't talk about retirement. So retirement is a terrible word. Retire from what? The institution you're working, the ExxonMobil, the MTN is owned by people. The people that own MTN, when are they going to retire? You never retire until your brain is prospered. So it's a coinage some business owners have built to give a natural exit to those whose usefulness has expired. That's the sense of retirement. And check it. When people talk about retirement, it's key. And they're always waiting for someone to pay one. That's okay. But then, you think Dr. Cosmas allocate to retirement? Do you think that when they talk about retirement?
Believe you don't hear them talking about retirement
because man's purpose of birth is to work. What is work? The purpose, work is anything that challenges your purpose, demands your intellect, and improves your skill. Work is anything that challenges your purpose, demands your intellect, and improves your skill. Job is anything you do that doesn't require intelligence, like template. Wow. Let's get a template or how to write a business. Routine. Businesses have no JD. As customers evolve, what we do with them evolve. That's what this one. Oh yeah, that's so. You know what I mean? And so with people, when people get to job and they're there for money, they get frustrated. The purpose of work is not to make money. The purpose of work is to create value. The purpose of business is to take the value and make money from it. So business is an independent entity that has no emotion attached to it. It only gives value to those who get money. So a business, if you walk into a restaurant right now and say you're hungry, you're broke, they come from nowhere, they won't give you money. They won't give you food. The waiter will not give you food, no matter how much you say you're hungry.
Yeah.
Because it's not attached to your hunger. It's attached to your money you're going to make. That's it. But when you go to that waiter's house, when there's not a restaurant, there's no entity called business. His emotion is involved. He say, sorry, I have 2 bread, let's manage. So human beings are not designed to be one. Human beings are designed to love and to create that. Then you have to set up an entity that has no emotion attached, that takes the value you've created and give it to those that have the beast to be fruit.
Now I see why people pay millions to sit under your tree. I do, Kairos. Look, I just go on and on. Like I tell you, for the history of our podcast, this is the longest we have been. I just want to keep hearing, but we have to come to an end. I cannot see why people will pay about a point to enter the class.
Why is it to be question not of money? Because most of my customers don't pay me. I create value for them. They pay me 10% of what they got. They can't pay me. I have to be their one that bless. They can't.
Thank you so much, sir. It's really an honor tonight. I've learned a lot, and I believe that those who are watching learned a lot. All right, so there's a final question we usually ask as the podcast comes to an end. That is, what impact do you want to be remembered for?
The impact I want to remember for is that this is the man that actually brought the consciousness of God to every African family, that they are qualified to be on birds, and the mandate of life demands them to contribute to birds fuckingly. It's the man that whose life make people believe that no matter what happens to them, as far as their brain is working, they can be able to let it out together. That's what I look forward to remembering.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So how can they contact you? Where can you be contacted?
Yeah, my stuff is on Instagram. Go to Pull or Be Albo, and follow me on Instagram. Then on Facebook as well. And that's basically my name. What's a message? I'll be there. I have super good and come there. I have lots of complimentary videos that you can watch again. Let me chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I am applied. You see, yeah. Thank you. So thank you everyone. Like, subscribe. Let other people learn about entrepreneurship. Thank you much.